We have new details on Rachael Kirkconnell and Matt James's New York City reunion. Hey guys, welcome back to another shared news from home. We have all the latest on Matt and Rachael, but before we get into these crazy updates, if you're new here, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. As always, I am your host, Fiona Zaring, joined by the wonderful Gabby Ganta. Gabby, when this news broke, when Reality Steve tweeted, when those pictures came to light, how did you feel? Were you surprised to see them reunited?
I was a little bit shocked at first, the fact that we got photos of it, but then after I took a moment to think about it, I really wasn't surprised because of their conversation on After the Final Rose. It seemed like there was a lot that was still there for them to need to talk about, so I'm not surprised they ended up getting together.
Yeah, that is a really good point. And now, you guys, sources have come forward kind of shedding light on why they were together, what the purpose of that reunion was. So, we're going to get into all of the details about what's really going on between them, because it's not a romantic thing. If that's where anyone's head was going, let's, shut that down right now. They are not back together. They have been in touch, but they are not pursuing a relationship, is basically what a source who claims to be close to them is explaining to E! News. Rachael has been trying to reach Matt, and he agreed to see her, is basically why they were together. A second source explained to E! that Rachael has been in New York City for a few days visiting friends. They said, quote, Rachael and Matt are completely just friends. He has no intentions of dating her in the future. So, kind of what you were saying, Gabby. There's a lot of clearly unfinished business between the two of them, just on the emotional front, right? There's a lot that's happened, and it seems as though this may be sort of a conversation, an attempt at closure. I mean, what do you make of this now that we have these details?
This is very interesting. The fact that they're saying Rachael wanted to see him and he allowed it is very interesting to see that it's coming from her side, that she's the one reaching out and wanting to reconcile or talk things out. I think based on the way they broke up, that definitely makes sense. I think Matt was very hurt by the things that she said and did. But like he even said himself, you don't fall out of love with someone overnight. So there might still be some feelings there, some things he still wants to say to her, and that's why he wanted to see her. Also, the fact that, Rachael was just visiting some friends in New York City and happened to be there, so they happened to meet up. It's like, I don't, it to plan a trip to New York City, that takes a lot. So I'm sure on Rachel's mind, she was saying, oh, well, I'll just plan a trip, see some girlfriends, and probably meet up with Matt, right? So it's interesting to see their intentions, and the fact that they're not pursuing a relationship though and just trying to be friends. I don't know if I fully believe that. What about you?
Yeah, I don't know. I was going to say, I mean, we'll keep getting into it, but there's a lot of layers to this. I mean, you mentioned it. Obviously, we watched such an emotional, difficult, heartbreaking conversation on After the Final Rose. And when they left the stage, they had the understanding, we had the understanding that there is clearly work Rachael has to do, a journey she has to go on. And Matt made it very, very clear, that he can't be a part of that. And there was definitely some hurt to unpack. Because remember, he found out about all of the controversy in real time, the same way all of us did. It was very fresh, it was very new. And the reality is, they had some real feelings there. They clearly really did care for each other. So, this is a very messy breakup, I feel like, is an understatement, but that's the best I can do right now. But the thing is, even though they've reunited, sources are basically saying nothing has changed. As they left the stage, she has a journey she has to go on. Matt can't be a part of that. And that's still where, they seem to be right now. The source said everything discussed on After the Final Rose still stands. Matt is not looking for a relationship. He is focusing on his work projects at the moment, which include his nonprofit ABC Food Tour. So, Gabby, here's the thing. After the Final Rose was not that long ago. I'm thinking of those Good Morning America interviews Matt did after the fact. None of that has been even a full month. So it's kind of, to me, how could those feelings, those wounds that were so fresh, heal to a place where they're ready to pursue a friendship? I'm with you. It feels like there is just either emotions that haven't, been closed off yet, or questions that still need to be answered before they can get to a place of closure, healing. Okay, now we're just going to be pals. Something about this isn't adding up to me. What do you think?
Yeah, me too. That's a great point. I think it's interesting that they wanted to get together to do this as opposed to, maybe talking on the phone or clearing some things up. Maybe that's not enough for them to get closure. And I think based on the photos, they pretty much didn't want people to know that they were together, right? Because it would have started this whole thing. And then now sources have to defend each side and say, oh, we're not in a relationship, but we're trying things and just sort of explain themselves. But I think it's really hard because it hasn't been very long since after the final rose. Matt and Rachel probably don't even know what next steps they want to take. And now the world sees them together again and are asking, are they together? What's going on? And now there's just another layer of pressure that they've had to deal with all season of us asking those questions to them. And now here they are again, just trying to figure it out themselves. And they probably don't even know what to tell the public because they're like, we're still figuring it out. Maybe we'll be friends. Maybe it's going to be something down the line, but it's nothing right now. So it's really tough for them to be under the spotlight again so soon because there are those fresh wounds that they're still working through.
Yeah, and I mean that's such a good point. The pressure that the two of them are facing, all Bachelor Nation couples, whether it's successful or not successful, face so much scrutiny. The thing about Rachel and Matt is, for very obvious reasons, they've each faced a different level, a different type of scrutiny since the season started to air. And I think, it's very tough because we watched their connection develop on the show. I don't always believe the connections I see on the show, and I believed that they cared for one another. There was clearly a spark there. And the issues that they face the minute cameras, kind of stopped rolling are so much bigger than, a reality TV show couple usually
Mhm.
faces. So it feels like I totally understand perhaps the need to sit down, hash things out, have those conversations. For all we know, Rachel's put in a lot of work over the past few months since the show ended, and she feels like she owes another type of apology. Like we don't know. There's so many
Mhm.
difficult, complicated elements to this. But I do feel like, at least for them, it's unfortunate that all eyes are on them again, right? Whatever this private
Yeah.
moment was, whether it's truly pursuing friendship at this stage of the game or just trying to get some closure, now there are just more questions, which makes it, all the more difficult. With that said, though, here's another question. Do we really think that in, 3 months' time, we're going to see them hanging out? Are we ever going to see Matt with his significant other, Rachel with her significant other, just friends? Do they have the basis for friendship when they literally met each other through the lens of a reality show to get married? I mean, what do you think? Is that even possible?
I don't know. That's really tough. This is a really good question because while they were meeting, like you were saying, they had the eyes on an engagement and a marriage and a future. And once you start thinking about those thoughts and starting a future and a life with somebody, it's hard to backtrack a little bit. It's really tough when you're in a relationship with anybody for a few months, a few years. It's hard to take steps backwards and become friends again. Some people do it and it's very successful and that's great for them because it's definitely hard. But in terms of Matt and Rachel, I think it's going to take time and I don't know, it just depends on what they want, because Matt and Rachel, they both wanted to get married soon and they were a good match, but some things ended up falling through the cracks and making it seem like they weren't that great of a match. So maybe if they start dating again and one person finds someone who's a little bit better for them, maybe they have a better chance of being friends because it's like we've both moved on. But in this current state where it feels like they haven't moved on, they still have stuff to work through, I don't see any sort of relationship coming out of that anytime soon. Hopefully, in the future, they can be friends. I know a lot of the women on the show end up being friends and things like that. So I don't know. I have high hopes that they can take steps to move on and end up having a solid relationship or a solid friendship. Although, like I said, it's pretty tough. So we'll have to see.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. I mean, it feels like more than anything, what the two of them need is some time. And the reality is, at least from where I'm sitting, it just doesn't feel like there has been that much time. Granted, they're living it. Obviously, the choices they're making are what's best for them. And at the end of the day, all of us just want them to be, happy and feel good and content and not have all of this baggage to carry around from what went down on the show. So, this is definitely very interesting, you guys. Something we will be keeping our eyes on. I feel like all of us want at this point is for Matt to get the closure he needs. So however that comes, we're here for it. All right, you guys. Well, like I said, that is all we have to share with you for now. We want to know your thoughts on all of this. What do you make of them reuniting? And do you think a friendship makes sense for them right now? Let us know down in the comments. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell because we are going to do our best to keep you updated as more details emerge. As always, I'm Fiona Zaring, joined by the wonderful Gabby Ganta. If you want to come say hi, our social handles are on the screen right now. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.